what is your name and what is the title of your performance? So our name is Viva La Tinta, and our performance was I think we would call it just a demo, a printmaking demo. Tell us a little about yourself.
So I started doing live printmaking in California, a small community college, back in like 2012, 2010. From there came to Kansas City, the Art Institute, where I met Edwing. And we fast forward, 10 years later, I'm still doing printmaking.
After Eric had been doing this for many years, live printmaking, we decided to kind of formalize it a little bit and kind of give it some structure, give it some ways that we can kind of keep it going in a much more kind of efficient way, and also with kind of a goal and a mission in mind to just spread printmaking as far as we can here in Kansas City and just show it to as many people. Yeah. So, what is the meaning behind your work? I think for us, a lot of the meaning was just collaboration, really. I think for us, it was, the key goal was that it was a performance and less about the actual physical art piece that you walked away with. But the kind of interesting part that ended up being for us was we ended up kind of splitting the design work amongst all of us. So, Jennifer, who's one of our other Viva La Tinta partners, she designed the streetcar graphic that was on there. I added a lot more of the texture and kind of structural elements to the design. Erick did all the lettering and typography on it. And then we had about another 4 artists or so that worked on some of the different illustration pieces that we had for it. And, that's, I would say, probably one of the pieces that have had most people touch it. And it was just a print, right? It's just one print, yet somehow there's about 6 different artists who participated in making this print happen, and not including the actual participant that actually had to print this themselves. So for us, that was kind of cool to kind of see that we can pull something off with as many different collaborators as possible. And that to me, I think, is the strong meaning behind it, right? The word is convivencia, which is about coexisting. And for us, it was like, all right, cool, let's make one piece that we can get as much different artists and credits on.
Yeah, especially in the printmaking community, because we are a giant community, and like every one of us helps each other out, whether it be with like work, carving, printing. Sometimes it takes a tribe to finish an entire print. And I think the coolest thing is when a collaborations happen natural, and when you can't tell it's multiple people. And if whenever we bring the entire community in there, like when you can't tell, like whose fingerprints is on here. It was all of our fingerprints.
When I was growing up here in the US, my parents are from Mexico and they speak Spanish. I'd never heard that word. I've never heard convivencia used in just everyday, Spanish that I was growing up with at home. It wasn't a word that, my parents used, very often. This was actually one of the first times I kind of was presented with the word. I was like, Spanish word that I don't know. We'll see. And then we looked up the translation about, it's the direct translation that it has on Google is coexist. But one thing that we've probably realized just growing up in Hispanic families, Spanish speaking families, is sometimes there's words that that you can get the English translation of it, but there's a lot missing in the English translation. And I think convivencia is one of those words where, like, in Spanish, it just means so much more. It has so much more depth about being together and working together, and everyone plays their role, that I don't think hearing the word coexist in English has that same impact. And I think that's one thing that we really wanted to kind of lean into, is just let's just bring in as many people as we can into this. That's what this whole word's about. So let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and I think the word ended up being perfect for what we do, from especially the start of any project to the very end of it. We all just coexist in the same space, uh, making work.
Yeah. So how we applied that meaning to this piece was, I think, you know, kind of as we mentioned, it was just through the process of bringing people into making it, and that wasn't even in just with the artists. I think that was everything, like Erick mentioned, to the people who supported us in getting things over there, and the friends that came through to help us get our setup ready, and helping us dry prints and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's something that we really got excited about. And, you know, one thing that is kind of interesting about this is that we found that kind of middle ground between just like a live demo and a workshop, right? Like we wanted to get as many prints as we could in the time that we were there. And I think we hit something like 60 something prints in the span of 2 hours. That means we were, handing a finished print to someone roughly every 2 minutes. And I think for performance art for us, like that's a lot. That feels like a lot of engagement that we're doing. And I think that gave us the meaning was just how much effort we put into getting people, as many people involved. And that's kind of the fun of me. I think what's kind of interesting is I think people have the opposite idea of what artists are. When people hear artists, they envision, someone alone in their studio working tirelessly on a painting. But I think we find it more fun when it's art that's happening out with people in a space and there's a community involved, not just one person by himself. I don't think any artist wants to actually always be by themselves sitting in the studio. I think there's times where we need to actually be out and about and engaging with people. And this piece gave us a lot of opportunity to do that.
And especially within the piece, every single one of these little windows, the community chose, I guess, who represented them, and every piece was done by multiple artists. So to feel represented by someone else in like in the same space, I think that gives it a lot more than just meaning.
To be seen.
Be seen. That's the
Yeah.
word. That's the one. To be seen.
Oh, why did you decide to apply for Art in the Loop? We had just finished getting accepted in this grant to be able to build this bike. And I think we were just kind of, you know, running on the high of people being excited about what we do and us wanting to really like, keep leaning on that. So we just started applying for all these other opportunities, and the Art in the Loop opportunity came up, and we were just like, oh yeah, that would be really cool to just do something with the loop, whether it's on a stop or something. And we looked at all the different options, and performance was kind of an interesting one. It's I don't think Eric and I necessarily identify as performance artists, but we realized as we were applying for these, as like, oh, I guess what we do is the performance. It is,
Yeah.
we're just in the space doing a thing, and it happens one time, and it goes away, and you had to be there to really experience it. So we're like, oh, let's apply for the performance one. Like that's different than what we thought we were going to apply for. But it turned out to be really great. I think it turned out to be like probably the best option for us this year to do this performance piece.
Yeah, and I think we've known past artists that have been in art like in the loop, and they've had great things to say about it. So we've known about it. So when it came up, we're like, well, yeah, like this person did this person did that with them. So why not? It seems like it'll be a great opportunity.
What brought us the most joy recently? Um, I think in this project, what brought us the most joy was we had this dog character that's in our example in our piece that just a lot of people were enjoying using, and we didn't expect so many people and folks to kind of be excited about some of these random characters, and that brought us a lot of joy just to kind of see people get excited about weird things.
What title would you give the chapter in your life? Oh man, that's a that's a pretty it's a pretty deep one. I think if I'm being honest, it's almost there. We've been on this journey I've been on this journey for a while, and then Edwing joined me and then we actually joined me and we made Viva La Tinta a year ago, and just being able to get more projects that I love doing. It's like I don't think I'm gonna be finished with it anytime soon. So I definitely want to do this for a while.
Yeah, this is definitely a big step chapter. Like just this year alone, we've been doing these a lot more public engagements like we did here for the Art and Loop, but also like right behind us, we bought this bike that we're turning into a mobile press, and this is all stuff that's happened just in the last year alone. So this is definitely a big chapter for Viva La Tinta, being our first year of launching. So you can find us on Instagram at Viva La Tinta KC, all one word. And on there, we'll have links to our website, which are things that we're still working on. And of course, we also have a studio over at 18th and Vine at the Joe Brothers um, Art Center, where we're pretty much open almost every first Friday so far for open studios. So definitely would want people to come visit us.